Spatial effects are another group of tools you can and will use to enhance your sound. They utilize stereo left and right images as well as timing algorithms to fool your ears into perceiving a more three-dimensional space to the sound. Remember when I said that using the pan control can provide a sense of space for sounds that share the same frequency ranges? We were accomplishing that by moving sounds off to the left and right to create space. Well, spatial controls utilize two more dimensions. That's the space from the front to the back to add yet more room to shovel sound into. They accomplish this by employing those timing algorithms. The three most commonly used spatial controls are probably the reverb, the delay, and the echo. By slightly delaying the left or right or both channels and employing repetition to the projected sound waves, they can make your ears perceive the sound as being either closer to you or further away. Therefore, you have the ability to move your sound not only to the left and right, but to the front and back as well. Let's start with reverbs. Most guitar amps have some sort of reverb unit, but why do we need reverb? Many places you're going to play, frankly, don't have the greatest acoustical qualities. Sound is just airwaves moving through space. The reflections of these sounds off of walls and striking your ears at different angles are what give you a sense of three dimensions. Your ears are incredibly sensitive to this. A lot of these places have low ceilings, stuff hanging all over the walls, and they're hopefully full of people. All of these things soak up sound, or at least prevent those reflections from traveling very far. Reverb can give a small space the illusion of bigness. When used judiciously, reverb can make a dead-sounding room, and subsequently a dead-sounding band, sound more impressive. Unless you're sleeping or trying to read a book, a dead-sounding space makes you feel kind of trapped or closed in. Your ears are some of your most utilized senses, and they like all that reflective sound. It's interesting. Let's shut off the backing music track and apply some reverb to my voice to illustrate. As you can tell, with no reverb on, my voice sounds one-dimensional, flat and uninteresting. With a little reverb, it starts to sound fuller, and you get a sense that I'm in a room with a little space to it. There are many types of reverbs depending upon what kind of room you're trying to emulate. There are plate reverbs, spring reverbs, reverbs that emulate cathedrals, auditoriums, and so on. Each individual manufacturer decides how many reverb choices they give you with their gear. Our Yamaha mixer's effects channels offer hall reverb, room reverb, plate reverb, and two reverbs set up for vocals. Now, too much reverb has a tendency to make things sound kind of cheesy. In the 1980s, bands thought they had to have reverb on everything in their recordings. If you go back and listen to some of those records and then listen to what's recorded today, you'll be able to tell how much things have changed since then. With newer recordings, it's not so much that reverbs aren't useful anymore, but rather I think because our musical tastes have changed. But for live sound, it's hard to sound good in a smaller space without some reverb. Just experiment with it and decide for yourself, but don't overdo it. Whereas reverbs want to fool you into the illusion of space by manipulating the timing of the sounds you hear, echoes and delays actually want you to notice that the sound repeats. The only difference is how it repeats. An echo is a sound that reflects back and repeats until it runs out of energy and fades away, like this. Echo, 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 echo. You determine how long the effect lasts, how quick the sound repeats by setting a timing parameter, and then it generally fades out. You also determine how much of the sound actually returns to you as a percentage. A delay is an echo with an expressly limited number of repeats, usually only a few, like this. Delay, delay, delay. You should determine the delay time, usually in milliseconds. There are 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second, so you can see how sensitive these settings are. Then you express how much of the sound is returned to your ears as a percentage of the original sound. Anyway, You need to experiment and then decide if any of these effects appeals to you.